We were all in the pub drunk, weren't we?
No, that's not my recollection. Years ago, you said to me, I've got this idea for doing a rock band that's just keyboard
I
players.
do remember that, yeah.
So I
Yeah.
thought, yeah, that sounds great. I mentioned it to John Lord once, and he didn't seem to take to the idea, but I think he was more interested in looking for a bottle of brandy. We were at a
right.
party at Bernie Marston's. So yeah, from that was years and years and
Oh,
years
you
ago.
mean take your own drink then?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, that's the one.
So it was only tail end of the beginning part of last year. We just flirted with the idea. One thing led to another, and Richard and I were having a coffee and listening to some stuff, and we fantasised about the idea. I said, well, look, if we did do it, there's only certain people that we can have in this band that do it, so it's all dependent upon whether they'd be up for doing it. And this gentleman on my left, or your right, it wouldn't work without this guy. I mean, in my opinion, Magnum's best ever drummer, and certainly the best drummer I've ever played with. So my first phone call was to Micky, and your response was?
No.
Very, very wise.
So then I called Neil Murray, and Neil said, who else is doing it? I said, well, I sort of fibbed a bit, but I said, well, Micky will do it if you'll do it. And he went, yeah, I'm up for that in principle. And then I phoned Micky back. He said, yeah, I'm up for that in principle. Etc., etc. And every phone call I made is the band we've got now. First choice. And I think they were quite a good choice, don't you?
Excellent choice.
Yeah.
And then once you got them all on board, you and I had to decide whether we wanted to do it. And we thought, nah, shit.
Beep.
Sorry.
So, more than a couple of good players, I would say.
I listened to some of the old stuff, took a trip down memory lane, and of course Neil was doing it. And I'd been playing with Neil for a couple of years with Bernie Marsden, and he was a great bass player. And having listened to some of the old stuff, I just thought, well, it'd be quite interesting to have a bash at this again. No, see if the suit still fitted, as it were. It did. It was quite fun learning the stuff, and it's been fun playing it.
Yeah.
You're trying to remember who's in the band.
Neil,
Yeah.
let's talk about Neil. Perfect choice. Great rock band bass player, one of the greatest. And a thoroughly nice bloke as well.
Yeah, and you can remember when we were putting this together, you know, I mean, obviously Magnum is at the core, or the Magnum classic songs are at the core of what we're doing. And, you know, in my opinion, Wally, especially with his vocals, was just so good for Magnum at the time, and so not the easiest guy to replace. So rather than start getting lookalikes, you know, like a tribute band or something, I thought, who's the best bass player? And as Richard just said, you know, there's only one guy, isn't there, Neil? And but you know, I've known Neil for over 35 years or whatever, and Richard has played with him, Micky's played with him, so it's like we're all friends as well. So that makes a big difference, that we're all happy and comfortable with each other. And you know, from a keyboard player's point of view, to have Micky and Neil, the engine room of the rhythm section is just like sublime to be playing with. So brings us on to Chris Uzi. Played with the guy several times, and he's got some great qualities. And as I say, we went looking for a Bob Catley clone or lookalike, but somebody that could obviously sing and put the songs over equally as well, but in his own way. And everybody's doubts or concerns were instantly answered on the first note he sang at rehearsal. You know, it's just fantastic. So Chris Hughes is the vocalist. Mo Birch has done so much stuff with Magnum over the years. In fact, she did demos with Magnum before I even joined the band, you probably remember that at Nest Studios there in Birmingham
I
and
do
stuff. So
remember.
Mo goes back a long way with Magnum. So, you know, we've got 5 people that share a legacy with Magnum, which makes it important. And have I missed anyone out? No, so it's just the guitar player.
Yeah, the guitar fella. Yeah, I'd got no idea what he was like as a player, so it was a very pleasant surprise when he first struck up at rehearsals, because he's actually pretty damn good.
Yeah. Lawrence, of course, filled in for Tony on back in 1984 on the 11th Hour tour, when Tony was taken ill, and completed the tour. So there's another legacy with Magnum, plus the fact he's a stunning guitarist. Micky had also played with Lawrence in the Grand Slam Mark II a couple of years ago. We did Sweden Rock, so everybody sort of knew each other. It was only you and Lawrence that didn't actually know each other, isn't it? So
I hadn't met Chris either, actually, but
oh no, that's
he
true.
he was another very pleasant surprise.
But a tie in there with the Whitesnake stuff and everything.
The first time I played with Mark was actually with Lawrence, and that was just before Magnum. We did some stuff. What was the name of the band? Wasted.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Was it that? Gosh.
And I said then, I'm never going to play with that guy again. And then he roped me into joining Magnum, which was pretty good. And that was 10 years of playing with Mark, and after that I said never again. And then the next thing I know, he's roped me into doing this. And then last year, the 2016, wasn't it? Grand Slam?
15.
So yeah, I keep coming back for more. So there must be something.
We must be mates.
It must be something must work.
Yeah. Well, slightly different in my case. I'd never played with Mark before Kingdom of Madness. I mean, after all, he's only a piano player. But funnily enough, I'm playing through all the Kingdom of Madness tunes. I'm playing something all the way through, and there's no piano. I'm not playing any piano, so there must be something else he was doing on the original recordings that was pretty good. Because I'm busy, busy
yeah,
through
very
all the numbers.
busy.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's all right. He does a nice drop thing.
There's a mutual respect for each other, if we can say that, but we are good mates, and that to me is the most important thing, to be happy in what you're doing. One can't underestimate the tightness and the complexity of the Magnum classics, and I think he'd opened a couple of people's eyes. As Neil said, you know, he'd never played a Magnum song or really listened to one all the way through before. And typical Neil, he came to rehearsals probably the best rehearsed out of all of us. And you go, no, it's another bridge there before he goes into... you can't underestimate it. How does it feel about playing flute on Kingdom of Madness? You know, I mean,
Well,
you haven't done that for a long time.
It's never been done on stage before.
There you go.
So that was
first.
the first. Well, to me, I mean, I only had an association with 2 of the numbers that we're doing, so all the other stuff was new to me, so I had to go away and learn. But so playing it on stage was probably a different experience for me than it was for these 2 guys that have played them a couple of times before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously there were the songs that you're talking about. I mean, Kex was playing drums on those. But of course, Kingdom of Madness as a song, for example. I mean,
you've done that
I can't remember doing a show not playing that one. You know.
It was pretty regular, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That pleased. It was quite touching, actually. I was really surprised that so many people came up after even the first show and said how much they enjoyed watching us play those songs again after all these years, quarter of a century. And it was quite touching, you know. It's like I was surprised because, you know, when Mark first suggested the idea, nobody's going to want to see us play these old songs. And Mark says, "You'd be surprised," and I was touched by how much love we got from the people who came to see us. Yeah, it was touching.
It was fantastic. I mean, the last few years I've been doing a number of bands doing like very small venues, and to go on a proper stage again was fun. You know, and the audience reaction was great.
Which one was that?
It wasn't Swindon,
Swindon.
was it? That was an interesting stage. Great crowd though.
Was I on the stage then, or in the
You
corridor?
were on the stairs on the way up the stage.
We were on the get out ramp.
That was the one. Yeah, yeah.
Excuse me.
yeah.
No, overwhelming. You know, we couldn't have asked for more. I mean, I remember after the first gig in the dressing room just thinking to myself, I couldn't have asked for more for our first show, so delighted.
Call it what you like.
Yeah.
Really, you know. It's what it is.
Yeah.
If you want to think of it as a tribute band, then think of it as a tribute band. I'm actually a tribute to myself. I look ever so much like Mickey Barker. You know?
Yeah.
Even
He
a
does,
bit
yeah.
older, a
Dead
lot
ring.
older in fact.
Ed Reed.
No, I mean, you know, if it's a tribute band, it's a tribute band. We're playing tribute to Tony Clark in songwriting, and
Yeah.
you know, Richard's term in the band, Mark's enormous lifetime in the band. I was there for 10 years, and we're sort of playing the music that we were involved in the making of and in the performing of, you know, back then.
I think a tribute band, as far as I understand it, I've never actually been to see one. I think they sort of try and emulate every facet of the band that they're tributing.
Well, that's what we've got Neil on
they-
bass, because he looks so much like Wally.
He does. They try and look like them. They do all the mannerisms. They dress like them.
You know, I mean, obviously it's a big responsibility taking these songs on. As I say, you know, they deserve respect, and there's nobody more discerning than a real Magnum fan. If people want to throw negative comments to try to belittle it, then whatever they want to call us, like Mickey said, you know, we're paying tribute to ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you do look quite a lot like an older version of Mark Stanway.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I work hard at it.
Still a handsome chap, of course.
I love the classic time of Magnum, which I'm talking Storyteller's Night and onwards, you know, through Vigilante, etc., when Magnum started doing some serious big business. And of course, Mickey was there, you know, and for me, it's never been that good since. And so to get a chance of recreating it to a certain, there's only one Bob Catley, there's only one Tony Clarkin, so I'm not taking anything away from those guys. But this is the happiest I've been for a long time.